Welcome into the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnett, and we are presented by the Grid Network. And oh my goodness, were there a lot of things that just happened in the last 24 hours, let alone, what's gone on with the Patriots all week. So, and by the last 24 hours, I mean those freaking Boston Red Sox. But we'll get to them in just a few minutes. But first, we got to talk about the Patriots. They went on to win against Minnesota on Saturday afternoon in a strange 1 p.m. Preseason game. First of all, what were your thoughts? I just got to know, what were your thoughts about the 1 p.m. preseason game? Because to me, I hated it. I thought it was stupid. I mean, yeah, it was something to do. You could have football on all day, especially now since it's August and the season's coming up. But I don't know. Wasn't a fan. Let me know your comments down below. But they were able to pull out the victory, of course, by the skin of their teeth, even though they pretty much dominated most of that game. And, of course, we got to get down to the game day grades. And, of course, frequent commenter, not Doug, throwing up Chisholm better be on that list. And don't worry, he is. I'm not blind. And if I was blind, I'd let you know. But first, all right, so grade A. I got Travion Henderson, Efton Chisholm, Robert Spillane, and Will Campbell. Now, I gave Will Campbell a C last week. So we're going to start from the bottom, work our way up. Gave Will Campbell a C last week. And it was because, yes, he played most of his snaps well. It was just that one bad play that he had, with the Drake May fumble against Washington. And Saturday, it was clean. He was good. It was... all right, granted, again, similar to Washington, it was the backups, but he did his job. When watching the film, the all-22 film, he did his job. He was there, he stayed in, and, he didn't really get beat by anybody. And when he could have gotten beat, you could argue, all he did was just push the guy upfield right where his momentum wanted to go. So I really enjoyed watching Will Campbell this week. I thought he was good. Robert Spillane, again, a guy that didn't play long, but he was flying around. Like, he was evident on defense, somebody that I'm really excited for. I wasn't, I don't want to say confident in the signing because, again, he played under Mike Vrabel. He seemed kind of his attitude like a Mike Vrabel type of guy. So I was very intrigued to see what happens. And sure enough, yeah, as the, probably will be the Mike linebacker. I've been thoroughly impressed at his motor, his effort. I've really liked what I've seen from him. Now, Efton Chisholm III, once again, led the team in receptions, led the team in yards, and led the team in touchdowns. It was, once again, just fun to watch him. I mean, I said it after his touchdown, on Saturday, where he made 6 defenders miss. 6. It was just like, he's on the team. Straight up. Undrafted, he is on the team. Even David Andrews, tweeted out that he loved seeing undrafted guys just bust their ass, work their hardest to get to this position, to get to where they want to go. And, when talking about Efton Chisholm, over the last couple of days, the one critique that is fair, I don't want to say it's bad or it's wrong. You could argue it's fair, is that he's doing this against backups. Then again, so isn't Drake May. So isn't, Matt Collins. So isn't Will Campbell, as I just mentioned. All these guys are going against backups. And Efton Chisholm is going against second, third stringers, maybe even guys who are going to be working at market basket by the end of the week. And it's just that I loved it. I love what I've seen from him. I mean, even, the joint practices, reading the reports on him, reading and seeing some of these highlights that I showed you last week about him just really sinking his hips, making that cut. Like, if this dude is not on the active roster, he's going to get swept up by another team, hands down, by none. It's going to happen. Like, he is not a practice squad player. He's not. And that's really something that I love about this kid. I think, and again, too, look at that picture in the bottom right-hand corner. I mean, that's him splitting the 6 defenders and leaping into the end zone for a touchdown while being dragged by his ankle. And he won't be available tomorrow night. I think a couple things. I think, one, that play did tweak his ankle with that guy holding onto it. And there's, some reports out there about that. But I think another thing is he's good. He doesn't need to play because you're playing guys tomorrow night who aren't going to make the roster or have a minor chance of making the roster. If anything, you're trying to solidify your backups and then see, all right, do we have anyone that can sneak in here? I look at this like the old fourth preseason game. The old fourth preseason game where it was literally like third stringers and you had some big plays, some big moments, but those guys weren't making the team. I mean, a perfect example for those of you who remember, you remember Danny Etling, the quarterback out of LSU that we got, who was not good, but he had that like 75-yard touchdown run, I think, against New York in Gillette. Yeah, he made the big play, and everybody the next day is saying, oh my God, Danny's got to play. Danny's got to be on the team. He made the team. It's like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. So I think Efton Chisholm is far beyond, that questioning, and he absolutely has made this team. And then lastly, once again, Travion Henderson, back-to-back weeks, both those guys get A's. They absolutely crushed it. I mean, it was really, we really saw more of Travion running the football this time, running in between the tackles, trying to hit the A gap, B gap, and seeing kind of what is he going to do? How is he going to hit the hole? Does he pull a Lawrence Maroney and just wait for the hole to open up while he's bouncing on his 2 feet, in the backfield with Tom Brady? Or is he going to take the ball and go right where he's supposed to, and the hole just opens up for him? And it looked like it was the latter on Saturday. So Travion, once again, hell of a performance. He got right in there and just, and especially too on that touchdown run that he had, he just took, he tiptoed around some guys, made some defenders miss in the hole, and just right through. He's done. He's good. Efton Chisholm's good. And I'm going to give you my projection. So cut down day is on Tuesday next week, which is, let's see, today's 20th to 26th. All right. So cut down day is Tuesday. I have my projection 1.0 of who I think is going to make the 53-man roster. And then I will also send out another final projection, on Monday next week. So stay tuned for that. Next, we got the letter B grade. All right. Who is going to be? I thought Matt Collins, Alex Austin, and Anthony Jennings. Now, I think with Anthony Jennings, yes, he had 3 tackles, 3 sacks, and, really kind of showed himself. But once again, with Jennings, he played all the way to the end of the game, which if you're playing like in the final few minutes of the third and into the fourth, all the way through the fourth, that's, I don't want to say it's ideal, but you're not as likely to make the team playing that deep into any preseason game at this point. So with Anthony Jennings, I thought it was good. Listen, I'm not going to knock what he did. I think it also helps because he's on the trade block and teams know it. Teams are sitting there like, hey, what's the deal with this guy? Can we, we going to make a deal here? Can we get a sixth for him, a fifth for him? That will be interesting to see in the coming days because, again, part of these cuts is also going to be trades, which is going to save the team some money. I mean, I discussed with Kyle Duggar last week that Kyle Duggar, if they cut him, are on the hook for $14.25 million. But if they trade him, they're only on the hook for $4.25. So I think that right there is something to keep an eye on, along with these trades. So listen, I thought Anthony played well, even though it was against, second, third stringers. Hey, can't knock the guy. The other two, Alex Austin, I thought was probably the best DB out of the bunch. He had one interception, 2 tackles, 1 pass breakup. I mean, really taking advantage of the fact that Gonzalez is out. Carlton Davis not playing as much right now, but Carlton Davis trying to get back into the swing of things. I doubt Davis will play tomorrow night. So Alex Austin really being aggressive there. And Milton Williams, which was actually really funny. So if you go back and watch that, Milton Williams really doesn't use his hands a whole hell of a lot. Like he's just a bull rusher, but he literally gets turned around. And instead of just trying to turn himself back, he just keeps backpedaling towards the quarterback, which is what set up Alex Austin for that interception. It was pretty hilarious if you go back and rewatch that. But I thought Alex Austin did a good job. And Matt Collins, the final guy on the list. Matt Collins, 3 targets, 3 catches for 38 yards. He obviously had the toe tapper on the sideline for the 20-yard gain, which I thought was a heck of a play by him, because he had to go up to get the ball from Drake May, and almost every target was above his head. And we're going to talk about Drake May in just a minute. But Matt Collins being able to, rise to the level, get the ball, and, be able to keep his feet in bounds, being able to be sure-handed, making those catches. Part of building that relationship with the quarterback is when he throws you the ball, if it's in your vicinity, you have to come down with it. That's what builds the trust. Of course, there are going to be times where the ball is going to sail. It's going to go way far behind, way far and forward, way over his head and on the ground, wherever. And the quarterback can be there and be like, yeah, that's on me. That's on me. But again, if it's in your vicinity, then that should be on you. And he went up, made the plays, high point of the ball, got it, came down with it. So very happy to see Matt Collins really get out there, really start to build that trust with Drake May, hoping that will carry on over into the regular season. Now for C, the letter C, as in can't play right now. The kicker, Andres Borregales, and Drake May. Yes, Drake May is once again staying at C. I'm going to talk about Drake May in a second, but Borregales there, he gets a C. I think he is not where Pacquiao is. I understand they drafted him, but at the same time, even though he gets drafted, Pacquiao has been outperforming him. Part of that outperformance is the fact that Romo did hit that 57-yarder in the game last week. And because he hit that, that's what, is helping him make the team, because Borregales, yes, he was perfect on extra points. That's something you have to be, but so wasn't Romo. So far, the only misses in the game was the shank and a half Borregales had from 57 yards out. You know, he did redeem himself by hitting a 51-yarder, so that's good. But it's not that he missed a 57-yarder that, you know, is the reason why I'm knocking him down. It's the fact that once the ball came off his foot, everybody watching that game, whether in the stands or on TV here, knew full well that he just shanked the crap out of that ball. That just immediately had a tail, you know, to it. So Borregales, yeah, in my opinion, as it stands right now, Paco Romo has made this team. And I would be intrigued to see what they do with Andres here because, again, you did draft him. I'm not saying that drafting him holds a special place, but it does mean something. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. But Drake May. Now, Drake May on Saturday, he went 4 for 7 for 46 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. I thought that the halfback wheel route to Travion in his first drive, it was a bang play. But if they threw the flag on that and called that pass interference, yeah, I wouldn't have been opposed to it. And if you're a Vikings fan and you didn't think that was pass interference, I don't know. It was really like very close. I thought he just hit Travion right before the ball got there. Regardless, they didn't call it. But Drake May, when you go back and watch all his throws, they were so high. Again, Mac Hollins is 6'2", 6'3", and he's got full arm extension to go up and get that ball. You know, that's where the dude needs to settle down. Drake May really needs to relax. And they tried. I mean, the first play of the game, when they hit Mac Hollins on the slant, that was an easy completion. But yet, he goes up. You know, he got the arms raised, going to get it. You're almost sitting there going like, dude, calm down. And then to Pop Douglas, who he got Mac Hollins, who's 6'3", and he got Pop Douglas, who's 5'8", you know? And it almost led to an interception. Not for nothing, the safety should have had that. Like, it went right through his hands. Yes, Douglas should have had that, but it was also over his head. And there was no one around him for at least 7 yards. No one. So Drake May really, yes, he reading all the reports of, you know, the joint practices, you know, I guess how he handled joint practices against Minnesota and Brian Flores, as we all know, has creative blitz packages and can really make a quarterback lose his mind. He was good. He did well. But when it comes to the in-game moments that we see, that was not good. And then he went on to talk about that's just who he is, and he's not going to change how amped up that he gets prior to the game. And if you're so amped up, it's like, dude, you got to relax. You know, we all know the infamous Tom Brady banging helmet to helmet on Drew Bledsoe. And Drew in that moment probably telling him, kid, calm down. Get it out, get it out of your system, but calm the F down. Right? And then Brady was and played relaxed, and obviously we went on to win Super Bowl 36, of course. But that's where May needs to learn. He needs to learn to relax and settle down. That's what the whole short passing game is for. That first pass to Matt Collins there, the slant, that was it. That was an easy pass to try to get him to relax, to calm down, to settle down. But if he keeps doing that stuff, I mean, what do we like? We might be in for a long season. And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit and how much of this second year leap are we going to get? Are we going to get the massive second year leap that we're talking about, or are we really in for the Drake May of last year? So stay tuned for that. But to finish off the game day grades, I don't give Fs. First of all, I don't give Fs on preseason games just because there's a lot of kinks to work out. But D is the worst you could get in the preseason. Come regular season, oh yeah, we're gonna have some Fs, guys. So when it comes to grading guys D, I got Garrett Bradbury, Javon Baker, Kyle Duggar, and DeMontre Jacobs. Now, I'm gonna go top down. Garrett Bradbury sucked on Saturday. He sucked at center, especially on those passing situations. When you watch them, he gets beat. He gets manhandled on the pass blocking. I mean, it was atrocious. He was pretty good on the run blocking, but the pass blocking, this is what we knew. This is when we signed him. This is what we knew. The tough part is we let David Andrews not even try. Yes, he did end up and retire. I wonder how much of a market that he even had, on to go play for another team. I'm not saying that he was doing that, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because he kind of got cut out of nowhere during, spring practice, OTAs. It was kind of like, all right, you're done. Like, wait, what? Longtime captain David Andrews. So I think that was, and then of course, with the addition of Garrett Bradbury, it's like, I don't know. From what I've seen, you got to give me, I want David Andrews back. David Andrews is a hell of a lot better than Garrett Bradbury. And yes, I understand he's coming off an injury, but I'd at least want to see what David Andrews could do. So I don't know. Garrett Bradbury, there's a lot left to be desired there. There really is. The next guy on that list is Javon Baker. And Javon, I mean, my goodness, was he just, one catch on 7 targets and committed a false start penalty in the fourth quarter. Like, dude, he's balling out at practice. Javon Baker, especially this year, seems to be a great practice guy. Now, of course, does he do some stupid stuff? Absolutely. He's still chucking the ball. He's still immature as all hell. But in practice, he's making these great catches. He's doing this stuff. He did it last year. But when it comes down to the game time, when it comes down to the preseason game, he is nowhere to be found. And even if he's targeted, he's got friggin' stone hands. He can't catch the ball to save his life. Now, again, similar to a lot of these guys, he does have Josh Dobbs throwing to him. He does have Ben Woolridge throwing to him. Not saying that, it's the quarterback's fault. But again, similar to Jordan Hicks, it's not your catcher's fault, pal. It's you. You're the one throwing the ball. Same thing. There could be a little bit of blame. But, but again, when the ball's thrown your way, you got to come down with it. You got to. Then DeMontre Jacobs, I have him on the list. I'm skipping Kyle Duggar because I'm going to talk about him. I want to talk about him last. But DeMontre Jacobs, I mean, the dude was supposed to be the backup swing tackle. He was supposed to be playing both sides, but he's gotten beat. He's playing late into these games. He's been kicked off the depth chart, basically, and surpassed by several others. So he had a spot, but now it doesn't seem to be working out. And it's not, and he was fine last year, but it's something that, again, got to keep your eyes on tomorrow night. Demontre Jacobs, is he gonna, play his way on as the final tackle on the team? And then, of course, the last guy, Kyle Duggar. Now, Kyle Duggar, it's not that he had a terrible game. I just want to start off with this. It's not that he had a terrible game. It's that when he is put in a situation to make the play, to, be the smartest one on the field, to read the team, to not screw up, basically. Again, you're going against backups. You're a first-string safety since you've been playing here. You know what you're doing. But yet he doesn't. And he comes up with the interception in the end zone to ice the game. The clock hits 0. He's in the middle of the end zone. Ball's tipped, comes down with it. And what does this moron do? He tries to run. He tries to get away from people. And by the grace of God, when he's brought down to the ground and the ball squirts loose and the Vikings fall on it in the end zone, making it a 2-point game, where now a 2-point conversion ties it up, his knee came down and hit the ground right before he loses it. I don't know how many of you even made it to the final piece, to the final seconds of that game. But, I mean, I was screaming at my TV, yelling him, go down. I know it's a preseason game, but it still bothered me. It still drove me nuts because, again, you should know this. You've been playing football for how long? You've been playing safety for how long? That when the game is over or at any point, unless you're friggin' Devin Hester, if you're in the end zone and you come down with the football as an interception, take the effing knee at any point in the game. It's an automatic touchback. And in this case, it iced the game. The game is over. There is no need to try to run the ball out. As soon as he makes the catch, he should have kicked his feet right out from under himself and fell on his ass. That's what should have happened. But no, he had to go and scramble and run around and possibly almost blow the game. And then we would have tied, then they would have gone for 2. Had they gone the 2, then we would have tied. And it just would have been like, you serious? So, Duggar, I mean, I'm telling you, I don't see a spot for him on this roster. I really don't. He just misses tackles. He can't cover. And then he does this type of stuff where I'm sitting there going, bro, you're done. Hell, I'd trade him. I wouldn't even trade him for a 7th round pick. I'd trade him for a bag of footballs. That's, kind of similar to baseball. I'd trade him for a bag of footballs, man. Just get him off this team. He's not good anymore. And if we could get something, and I mean anything, just to get that $10 million off the books, hell, I'll do it. That was just terrible, man. That was just absolutely terrible. So moving on now. So again, as I said, cut down day is Tuesday the 26th. And I want to show my projections here. So who I think should be on the team. And first, going left to right, you got the wide receivers. Wide receiver 1, obviously, Stephon Diggs, Kyle Williams. Slot receivers, I got Demario Douglas. And yes, I do have Eftham Chisholm making the roster. Left tackle, I got Will Campbell, Vidarian Lowe. Left guard, Jared Wilson and Layden Robinson. And by the way, this isn't like they're the starters or anything like that. It's just how it is. Leighton Robinson, Jared Wilson, Ben Brown at center. And yes, I do have Garrett Bradbury on the roster, even still. But then a right guard, Michael Wenu, DeMontre Jacobs, Morgan Moses, and Marcus, Marcus Bryant. And then at tight end, get Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, and Jack Westover, 3 tight ends. Wide receiver 2, Kayshon Boutte, Matt Collins. Running back, Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, and Travion Henderson, of course. And, of course, we got Drake May and Josh Dobbs. Now, I really wish we could upgrade on Josh Dobbs. I really do. He just hasn't been good. But what are you going to do? I mean, hell, I might even take Ben Woolridge over him. I will be interested to see kind of what the waivers look like for quarterbacks, at least backup quarterbacks. Because, hey, you might be able to sneak one and get a guy worth, at least being a backup. Now, I'm not looking for a guy to challenge Drake May, especially not right now. But God forbid something that does happen to the kid. We need a solid backup. and Josh Dobbs is not it. So then on defense, going left to right, top to bottom, I got Jabril Peppers and Dante Pettis. Free safety, Jalen Hawkins and rookie Craig Woodson. Quarterback number 1, Christian Gonzalez, DJ James. Nickelback, Marcus Jones. Outside linebackers, Keon White, Clevion Chason, and Braden Swinson. Linebacker, Robert Spillane. Christian Ellis. Linebacker, Jack Gibbons, Jelani Tavai. Outside linebacker on the right-hand side, Harold Landry III. Truman Jones, Elijah Ponder. Cornerbacks, Carlton Davis III, Alex Austin. And then right end to left end, Christian Barmore, Jack Farmer, nose tackle, Kyrus Tonga, Kyle Pecco, and then Marcus Williams and Jeremiah Farms Jr. So that's my defense. And, of course, got to go special teams here. Julian Ashby is the long snapper. Parker Romo is my kicker. Bryce Barringer is the punter. And, of course, the special teamer, Brandon Schooler. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. Am I missing somebody? Is it somebody that you think deserves to be on the roster that isn't? Let me know. Otherwise, finishing off with Drake May. May has the second-year leap that he really needs to hit if we're going to be successful. Because as I stated back in the spring, I made a hilarious, I don't want to say ridiculous, but I want to say I made a hilarious record prediction where I had us only losing 5 games. And I was just like, hey, why not? I felt so good about the team. Mike Vrabel was our coach. Drake May is going to hit his second year, got Josh McDaniels. And all of a sudden, I think right now it's really coming back down to earth. I'm not 100% sure of whether or not we could even hit, this projection by any stretch of the imagination. And that's what freaks me out. We should be able to. I understand it's asking for a lot. A lot of things are going to have to go right for us to hit that kind of projection. 12 wins in Drake May's second season after what happened last year? I mean, woof. That's a massive ask. But I don't know. I think right now, we can win a couple. And I don't mean we're not as bad as 4-13. We're not. Okay? We're a much better team than 4-13. That's just a fact. But it's all going to rely on Drake May and how he performs. As it stands right now, Drake May technically is 1-9. Yeah, he's 1-9. And he's got turnovers for days. You know, we all know what happened against Tennessee. We all saw how he played down the stretch. It looked fine, but there was nothing to lose our heads over. And I understand the wide receiving core wasn't good. The O-line is trash last year. I get it. I do. But again, we also have to look at how the kid performs. Because no matter how many times I want to help him out and say, hey, guys, you don't know what you're talking about. The O-line sucked. The wide receiver sucked. I'm absolving the kid of all wrongdoing. So even when he has the high throw that he overshoots his receiver and he has a clean pocket, who's that on? That's right. It's on Drake. So Drake, to me, you know, he really has to figure it out. And what I saw from him on Saturday, I wasn't the biggest fan of. You know, throwing so high, hitting these guys with such, you know, tall, like trying to think that they're taller targets than they are. I mean, he really needs to get that down. He really needs to settle down. If that's his issue, you know, we might be in for another long season, guys, no matter who the hell our coaches are. You know, I'm not predicting 12-5. Now I'm not predicting 12-5, but I'm also not predicting 4-13 or 5-12. I can tell you that right now. We shouldn't be that bad. We shouldn't. We should be a bubble team. You know, later in the season where they say in the hunt, that third column there, we should be one of those teams consistently all the way to the end of the year. That should be a fact. But we're going to see what happens with that. And we're not going to obviously see Drake May tomorrow. We're not going to see Travion Henderson tomorrow. We're not going to see Diggs, probably even Matt Collins. You know, I think Kyle Williams looked like he got banged up on Saturday. So, I don't know. I mean, we're going to be a thin roster tomorrow night. It's still going to be fun to watch. I mean, I'm still going to enjoy sitting down and actually watching some Patriots football. Like, hell yeah. And then Saturday, we got week 0 of college football. So, very excited about that. But, yeah, I mean, hey, football's back, baby. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. So now, moving on to a team that, if you saw my live reaction last night to that game, oh my God. You could not have played any worse. And meanwhile, were there other things that went on before last night? Of course, we're going to talk about those. But this game last night was just too far important not to lead off with, because you had a 5-game homestand where you went 2-3, where you should have done more. And if you can see in that final Orioles game, I got a stick figure puking, because that's what the Red Sox did. They gagged all over themselves last night.
You choked. It was yours for the taking, and you choked. You were ready, and you choked.
I was so disgusted that we got swept by the Orioles. Yes, it's a 2-game series. I don't care. It's still technically a sweep. So we got swept. Last night, We went 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position. The final 4-inning breakdown is hilarious, by the way. In the 8th inning, bases loaded, no outs. We got a 3, 4, and 5 hitter up to the bat. Duran, Story, and Yoshida. What happens? 3 consecutive strikeouts on 3 pitches, 4 pitches, and 5 pitches. You need to do better than 12 straight pitches. Or not 12 straight, 12 pitches. To, I don't know, force the guy to throw you an effing strike. Don't give it to him. And don't swing out your ass, which is what I'll bring up in a little bit. But in the 9th, we get on, man on first, and Nathaniel Lowe, who Craig Breslow lucked out. Lucked out in signing Nathaniel Lowe. He's 30 years old. Yes, he's batting .216 this season prior to his arrival here in Boston. And he has 68 RBIs. It's a down year for him considering that he's batted .263 for his entire career. But he's a legit first baseman. He won the Gold Glove in 23. He won the Silver Slugger at first base in 22. Nathaniel Lowe is legit. He's played a majority of his career at first base. And so the fact that Breslow claimed him off waivers, got him, and then worked out a minor contract, I mean, this should have been done at the trade deadline. Clearly, the Nationals didn't want him because they let him walk basically for nothing. Yeah, they didn't DFA him, but they let him walk. And so we swooped in and got him. Thank God. But with that, again, I'm looking at you, Breslow. I don't know how many times I can say this, is the fact that, you know, he got lucky because Washington could have kept him on his roster and we would still be sitting here without a legit first baseman. But luckily we got one. And the funny part is, in his, you know, he did play last night. He pinched hit the night before because he just got to Boston the whole 9. So in his first real day in Boston, he's in the lineup, but as DH. What? Why? You finally have the legit first baseman that was one of your major needs, and you DH him in his first day, basically? I know he played the night before, but still. His first day, you DH him? What are you, stupid? And you put Abraham Toro, who found a way to F this game up, him at first base? I mean, come on. What, who the hell is running this team? Honestly, who is it? Is it the Nerds? Or is it Alex Cora? Breslow and the Nerds? Or Alex Cora? Because that was just an absolute joke. And so Nathaniel Lowe, who, thank God he was on this team regardless of where he, played in the field, came up and hit a 2-run homer to tie the game at 3 apiece. It was just oh my God, let's go. Thank you. The whole place erupted. It just went through 2 back-to-back days of bad losses to the Marlins and the O's in game 1. And now we have life. Fenway Park is alive, baby. We're going crazy. We're getting this team the victory tonight. And it's all going to be because Nathaniel Lowe tied it up in the 9th. And then, oh, that's right, back-to-back strikeouts after that. It's oh, God. So now we're down to 2 outs. And all of a sudden, the closer for Baltimore just absolutely turtled. He walked 3 straight batters, low to the bases with 2 outs. He wanted to end that game. He was dying for a hit or to walk the guy, just to be like, oh, I can't be here. I got to get out of here. I'm freaking out, man. I'm freaking out. But all of a sudden, what happens? Trevor Story has another 4-pitch at bat. Again, our number 4 hitter has another 4-pitch at bat that ended on a force out to second base. Like, just dagger in the heart. I couldn't have gotten any more elated than I did on the Nathaniel Lowe home run, only to then just be at the lowest of lows when it was so perfect. So perfect for a walk-off in the bottom of the ninth, and Story just pissed all over it. Then in the 10th, now we got a ghost runner on. We shut out the O's in the top of the 10th, which is like, all right, let's go. See, look at this. Only to then have a hit by pitch. Ceddanne Rafael get hit by the pitch. A fielder's choice to second. Lowe walked. So now we got a man on first and third with 1 out. And then we loaded the bases off Lowe's walk. Abraham Toro, the guy that has been hitless all game. What does he do? He grounds into a simple double play to end the inning. And it's just like, oh my God, you got 1 out. You had one job, dude. One job. And you did the worst thing you could do is hitting the double play. Like, you're killing me, Smalls. And again, as I mentioned earlier, why was Toro even in the game? Lowe should have been at first base. And then he got a bunch of other guys who could have filled in a DH. Let's be honest here. Now in the 11th, top of the 11th, man on third, 1 out. Guy hits a knuckler, out in front of home plate. Whitlock comes off the mound to field the ball. No. Connor Wong, who we got from the Mookie Betts deal. Remember that? Remember how good Connor Wong used to be? No, I don't. He was never good. At least never that good. But he leaves his position knowing that a man is on third, and he fields the ball, gets the second out at first base, and the runner, it's almost like had Whitlock come off the mound and Connor Wong played his position, the guy on third was still going home. He should have stayed home. Whitlock should have came, flipped him the ball, and had it been a tag situation. Like, it was so basic. And it cost the Red Sox a run. It did. And with that, now the Sox get up in the bottom of the 11th. Wong, to his credit, actually is the first Red Sox to lay down a bunt, I think, all season. It's a hyperbole, I know, but still. Lays down a bunt. Advances the perfect bunt. Advances the runner from second to third. He's out at first. Okay, we got 1 out. And then this is when all hell broke loose. You have Nick Eaton, who's on third base. Here's a kid who is fast. According to the stats, he is 97th percentile or 95th percentile in speed. The dude is fast. And Roman Anthony's up to play. He hits a ball 265 feet. Now, I saw a bunch of people on X being like, see, he only hit the ball, it was a shallow fly ball to center field. It was not shallow. The ball did not barely escape the infield. It was the perfect distance between the warning track and the infield. Perfect distance, like split it right down the middle. Now, the guy throwing the ball, Colton Cowser, he has a 95 percentile arm strength, otherwise known as impact arm, which I'll let you hear Alex Cora's discussion on that in just a minute. But you have a guy who is extremely fast versus a guy who has a strong arm. Nick Eaton takes 2 steps off the bag and plants his right foot to turn right around, and the ball just sailed into the bleachers. Just sailed. It was gone. It was long gone. Nick Eaton could have done the worm. He could have done the worm all the way down to home plate and scored. Like, that's how far he was so offline with that throw. I think all of Red Sox Nation lost it because, and I actually, not all, most, because, of course, Alex Bregman, our best hitter, pops out to the shortstop to end the game. And it was the most disheartening event I think I've ever seen as a Red Sox fan. Like, I don't understand how you have a perfect tag situation. Yes, the ball is somewhat deep, but it's deep enough where you got to test this guy. You got to. Why? Because I don't care how strong of an arm he has. Colton Cowser knows exactly how fast Nick Eaton is. He knows that Nick Eaton is a speed guy. And with that, he also understands that, damn, I have to speed up. I have to, really catch, transition, cock, throw, and make sure that it is on a beeline to home plate. You don't think that's going to screw him up? You don't think that he's not going to sit there and be like, and just be Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collective? No, of course not. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's, again, this isn't Pablo Sandoval on third base tagging from third to home. If it was, my God, he could have taken all freaking day. Oh, here's the catch, la-di-da-di-da. I'm going to have a little sip of water, and then I'll just casually throw it home. It's going to be right on line. And Pablo Sandoval, by that point, is only going to be 3/4 down the line. Like, otherwise, Nick Eaton is making the guy's head turn a hell of a lot faster. He knows he's got to do a lot more in a shorter amount of time than ever before. It's like Ichiro hitting a ball down the third baseman, and the third baseman understanding that Ichiro is effing fast, and that transition has to be so smooth, so quick, cock and throw, all in just an exorbitant amount of time. Otherwise, Ichiro's safe at first. That's where this comes into play. That's why when you see this, right, you see the situation, you got to test it. You actually did your job. You actually played small ball to go for the run. But instead, you chickened out. You pussed out. That's exactly what the Red Sox did. Oh, why? Why did the Red Sox puss out, you might ask? Here, listen to Alex Cora explain why they pussed out last night.
On that play, there was Eaton at third.
That's an impact arm in center field. We prepare before the series, and we decide who we're going to challenge and not. So we didn't challenge him.
Is that Eaton's call to stop, or is Hudson telling him?
We prepare before the series, and that's an impact arm, and we decided not to challenge him.
You prepare before the series. It's an impact arm. First of all, stupid. The hell is an impact arm? What? He's an impact player. He's got a strong arm. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's got a howitzer for an arm. Say that. Corey, you're a baseball guy. You know what that is. We all know what a howitzer for an arm is. A cannon for an arm is. Don't be one of those nerds who calls it impact arm. Ridiculous. Secondly, you prepared before the series? What do you mean you prepared before the series? Because to me, it almost sounded like everything was predetermined. Oh my God. It was predetermined. So anytime you had a runner on third and the ball was hit to Colton Cowser, you knew straight up, it doesn't matter if you have Nick Eaton, David Hamilton, Jacoby Ellsbury, give me another guy who's fast. Ichiro on third base, if they were all playing and in their prime, you're telling me you're still not sending in just because this guy's got a strong effing arm? Oh my God. Like, what are we even doing here? Because that is the most absurd thing. You know what? Actually, I can't even say that because there's so many absurd things when it comes to baseball. But you're saying that basically your staff, the analytics nerds upstairs, came down with a 3-ring binder and said, hey, Cora, just want to let you know that if you have a sack fly opportunity, we don't care if it's even Nick Eaton, who we know is a fast guy. That if there's a sack fly opportunity and the ball is hit anywhere between shallow infield or shallow outfield all the way to about 270, 280, anywhere in that type of range, just want to let you know, you shouldn't send the guy. Don't send the guy. What? What are you talking about? These moves right here aren't predetermined. Sending Nick Eaton on a 265-foot fly ball to left center field is not a move that you determine before the series. That is a move you determine in the moment. And not for nothing, even if that wasn't the case, the third base coach is absolutely in the wrong. He should know straight up how fast Nick Eaton is. He should know that this is an opportunity we're not going to have because there's one out right now. So a fly ball to middle outfield and deeper, you're tagging regardless. There's a reason why Nick Eaton's on the bag. That's what drives me up a freaking wall when it comes to these nerds. These moments are made in split decision, not based on a computer, not based on numbers, not based on percentiles. I don't care if it's Vladimir Guerrero, who in my day had the strongest arm I've ever seen. The man could be on the far end of right field and make a beeline throw all the way to third base without it bouncing once. I don't care if it's Vladdy Guerrero. It's the bottom of the 11th. You're down 1. This is your opportunity. I don't care that Alex Bregman is up to bat. For all the nerds out there who want to tell me on Twitter and everything that, oh, well, Alex Bregman was up to bat. You don't send a guy with your best hitter coming up. No, you do. Because now there's 2 outs and Bregman has to get a hit. Sure, he's got a 290, 300 batting average. That's still 7 out of 10 times he's getting out. And sure enough, it was one of those 7 out of 10. I don't understand. And this is why I have such a hard time dealing with all these nerds, all these numbers, making the decisions. Yes, do numbers help? Of course. Are we taking it way too far? 1,000%. But in the case of this, numbers, of course, help. You got the batting averages. You got the runners in scoring position. You know how the team's kind of playing today. You know how they're kind of feeling. When you have the opportunity, you go. Because, again, numbers don't take into account human error, human nerves. And clearly, Colton Cowser was nervous because he clearly knew how fast Nick Eaton was, hence the ball sailing 15 rows into the friggin' bleachers. I mean, for all of that is holy, guys. Can you open up? Can you figure out why basing everything on statistics, on analytics, is ruining sports? It's not helping. It's hurting. And this was a prime example last night. Prime. I mean, it's wildly awful. And because of that, and because of stupid. Now, again, could we have still gone on to lose the game? Absolutely. But the fact that you're 0-13 with runners in scoring position, and here's an opportunity to get an out, but also score a run, you freaking take it. You played the game to do exactly that. And you chickened out. You pussed out. Here's an idea. Grow a pair and play the game the right way. That just, it bothers me because now we're in a predicament where everything is going down week to week. I made the funny error pulling up the week prior, and it was actually higher than last week, and now it's lower. Making the playoffs, 71.1%. Clinching the wild card, 68.8%. And then everything else is sub 3, except for making the World Series, which is at a 6.6%. Just showing you that there is still a possibility with this team to make a stupid run. Somehow, some way, you can still make a run in baseball. Which is why it's just, I get so agitated when I see stupidity. And especially where I know the stupidity comes from. Analytics. But something like that just shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. These guys have been playing baseball their entire lives. These coaches have been coaching baseball for a very long time. And you're telling me you're making bonehead mistakes that you make in the minor leagues, not in Major League Baseball? This is the reason why we keep calling the Boston Red Sox a 4A team. They're not a Major League Baseball team. They're a 4A team because they're trying to get these kids to learn on the fly, almost as if they haven't played baseball before. It's wildly infuriating. And yes, does it help that the schedule is somewhat light? Of course. This is why I had everything prepared before I watched last night's game. I was prepared to talk about, okay, what's going on with the team? We're in a pivotal stretch right now. We got one of the easiest schedules that finish out the year, but no. The Red Sox had to go and piss all over that with their decisions last night. But I am going to say this. Yes, this is a pivotal stretch. We got the Yankees coming up, who are kind of on a heater right now. We go to Baltimore, back-to-back 4-game series, and then we're home where we really play well at against the Pirates. And of course, when I say really play well, I'm taking out of the fact of what just happened. And what just happened in these last 4 games have been just unbelievable, to say the least, because I'm going to pull up the schedule, but I want you to look at the Marlins series starting back on Saturday, the 16th. We won the game. We won the game 7-5. We had a 7-2 lead in that game. And then we bring out a guy who is not only one of the worst pitchers in the league, but he is so bad that the statistic, the statistic out there shows that he is out of like 180 something, relievers pitching 14 innings. I think that's the stat. He is like 178th, 177th. He is effing atrocious. That's what I'm worried about. And now, luckily, thank God, he's off the roster. We just called up Richard Fitz. But he is awful. And he ruined Aroldis Chapman for Sunday's game, where he could have played on Sunday, but even though we had the lead late in the game, that would have been 3 straight days for Chapman, which then led to us putting in guys who suck, gave up runs, and we blew it. Then on Monday, we blew it against Baltimore, losing 6-3. And then, of course, last night's debacle. Now we got a 4-game series in New York coming up. And recent events over the last couple of years, the Yankees have been kind of good to us. We have somehow, some way figured out that the Yankees, we play well against the Yankees. Now, do I believe that we're going to sweep them? I see some comments asking, are we going to sweep the Yankees? I don't think we're going to sweep the Yankees. I don't. The first thing that we got to do is figure out our bullpen. Because our bullpen, before last night's game, our bullpen had an earned run average of 12.9. 12.9 earned run average in 3 games. Then if you include last night's game, it helped out because our bullpen pitched a lot of scoreless innings. But adding the fact that the bullpen pitched 7 innings and only allowed 1 earned run, the ERA dropped to 7.36, which is still astronomically high. 7.36 in the last 4 games. Thank God they also have an off day just to travel to New York, because that 7.36, these guys really got to get their act together. Outside of Aroldis Chapman, who, again, as a person, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think the guy's a creep, a weirdo, and again, I don't know him personally. I'm not going to, speculate on that. I'm just talking about all the situations that this guy has dealt with since being in the major leagues and being in Cincinnati. But he's been lights out. Absolutely lights out for the Red Sox. Which, hey, come into the postseason, great. Coming into these key spots, we got to figure it out. Because he's got a 37-year-old arm, and he really needs to stay healthy, but we also have to play well enough to make the damn playoffs, because we're losing ground in the American League East. We're now in 3rd, a game back behind the Yankees, and 6 games behind the Blue Jays. Clearly, as you can see, the Yankees are on a 4-game win streak and have gone 7-3 in their last 10. The Blue Jays are still 6-4 and just won last night. I think as of today, they did end up losing. So there is they played this afternoon. So these scores will probably need to be adjusted just slightly. But still, that's as of last night's ending. And then in the AL wildcard, you're looking at it. The Yankees now have the number 1 wildcard spot by a game, whereas us and the Mariners are dead even. I think the Mariners also lost as well. So we just gained a half a game on them. But again, the Mariners have lost 4 in a row. We've lost 3 in a row. The Royals are making a lot of ground, winning 5 straight, going 8-2. I mean, just because the statistics as of today say that we're a 71% chance to make the playoffs and a 68.8 or 69% chance to clinch a wild card spot, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Again, this is the thing about stats and analytics that I swear just people refuse to understand. Is that because it says, oh, yeah, we got a 70% chance. Oh, let's pack it in, guys. We're good. We don't need to make any big moves. We don't need to go out and do X, Y, and Z. No, we're fine. We're chilling. The fact that people forget is they still have to play the games. Because, again, looking at the statistics, the Orioles are 14 and a half games back of the Blue Jays. They suck. All right? The Orioles suck. And you just got swept by them. You know, I had somebody last night try to come at me and be like, oh, you mean the 2023 AL East champs, the 24, wild card? It's like, all right, every blind squirrel finds a nut at some point. But the Orioles are a perennial loser organization. And yet, you got swept by them. So what does that say about you, the Red Sox? I mean, it's crazy. So even though our schedule is favorable for the final month and a half of the season, you still have to go out and play the games. You still got to do this because I don't want to be the team that is going to finish without a playoff berth for the 5th year in a row. Right? 22, 3, 4. All right, 4th year in a row. Yeah, we made it in 21. We're the Boston Red Sox. Going 2 years without a playoff berth is way too long, especially since the wild card now accepts 3 teams. Hell, I remember when the wild card was only 1 team. Now everybody gets in. As long as you're not 81 and 81, you got a pretty damn good shot. And then, of course, in the playoffs, anything can happen. The Texas Rangers in 23 were a perfect example of that. You know? So, it's one of those things where they got to figure it out, man. They got to get their acts together because we're not going to be the Boston Red Sox for much longer if we keep pulling crap like that. If we keep treating our club, a club that should be in the top tier in terms of spending, like the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, and the Phillies, for that matter. We should be up there. But John Henry just refuses to go that far. And he keeps hiring guys to try to mimic what the Tampa Bay Rays are doing. And for a long, long time, the Rays, and still today, play the game like a 4A club. Yeah, they're slightly better than AAA, but they really aren't as far along as they should be. We got a lot of young guys. We got a lot of young talent. There is an opportunity here. Because unlike what the computers are going to tell you, getting playoff experience, getting there, is so valuable to guys like Roman Anthony, to guys like Garrett Crochet, to guys who actually, want to win, who play this game to win. And Bregman, God, I love Bregman. I want him to re-sign here so freaking badly. If they don't re-sign him, it's going to piss me off, man, because they can afford it. Let's be honest. They can absolutely afford to re-sign because, hell, give him how long does he want to play for? Tell him that his contract will last, and then once he wants to stop managing the team, here he is. He's got a free job, just like Jason Veritek. You know, he's staying with the club because he's so valuable to the young guys, to Roman Anthony, Marcelo Maya, and hopefully Christian Campbell will develop and come back next year and be that much further along. You know, I hope, Craig Breslow and those driveline scumbags didn't affect Christian Campbell's development, and be a part of their, quote, proof of concept, which is so stupid to begin with. But tell me your thoughts. Were you just as upset about last night as I was? Let me know in the comments down below. By the way, don't forget, if you like, share, subscribe. If you like what you hear, hell, even if you don't like what you hear, like, share, subscribe right down below. You got Instagram, the Boston Sports Summit. You got Boston Sports Summit on X. You can get all my live reactions on there. You got my videos on the Boston Sports Summit YouTube channel, as well as the Grid Network, all right? Don't forget, Grid Network's got a great whole host of shows, great bunch of content creators talking about sports where, it's a fun time. So stay tuned to some more Grid updates. But also, guys, what do you think? Let me know. Red Sox, Pats. At least we got football coming. That's all I can say. And by the way, for the Boston Sports Summit, I'm your host, Tim Barnard, part of the Grid Network here. And I just want to thank you all for sticking around, for watching my show. And please, we just started streaming on Twitch as well. So thank you all, and end the night. God bless. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week.